So to get access to this, the whole swing arm will come off. So we have to start by undoing any bits that are attached to the swing arm, any linkages and bolts underneath there, and obviously take the rear wheel off. We slacken off the adjusters there so you can push the rear wheel far enough in to be able to get the chain off to get the rear wheel out. As we can see there, when we've pulled that out, that's bone dry, no grease at all from the factory. Wheel spacer fell out as per tradition. So you lift your caliper mounting out the way, and then we'll just hang that up there with a bungee so it's not pulling on the ABS wires. So the bearings look alright, it's just the main spindle itself that doesn't seem to have much grease on it. But we'll go through everything, grease everything up before we put it back together. So we're going to make our way around these bolts, taking them out one at a time, greasing them all up, putting them all back in. But we will take the whole swing arm off through the pivot bolt up there once we have the shock linkage disconnected from the swing arm. And there you can see the wear on the swing arm there where the tyre's been touching, even with standard tyre and suspension setup. With that top linkage bolt out, we just need to take the main swing arm pivot bolt all the way out. It's a 19 on the side with a nut and an 18 on the side with the bolt head. Butcher, dry as a bone. We'll use the bone comparison rather than the nun comparison. So we might as well grease these bushes. Well, you can see the pin bearings as well. So rather than remove the chain guard at the bottom, we can just leave the chain still attached and just crudely take the swing arm off with the chain still attached like that. For all the grease in today, we're just going to be using this multi-purpose grease. First bit of grease going back in. So that one seems quite dry on the actual shaft itself. So you can see those bearings on that side look a bit drier. So we'll get those greased up before we put that bushing back in. That's the bearings and the bushings greased up. So we'll just apply some grease to the long bolt, and then that swing arm can go back in place. Whilst the swing arm's off and we've got better access, we'll just do these remaining linkage bolts as well. Quite simply remove it, re-grease it and put it back in. There's your torque wrench. Beep. Those three all done now, so we're just going to lift the swing arm back up, put this back through and then do that final bolt there. Just one thing to note is you need to have the chain above that. You can't have the chain underneath it or you'll be in all sorts of trouble. That's it. There we go, all the way through. Have you got a socket that you can put on there so I can just feel how tight it is rather than whizzing it up? Right, so you're going to tighten it from the nut and I'll just hold this here. What torque spec should that be? Just tight. Ooh, lovely. So that's the last linkage bolt going in now. It's all the linkage back together now and all greased up, so the last thing to do for this job is put the back wheel in and make sure that the back wheel spindle is also greased. Wheel spacers in, so they only need to fall out another 327 times before the end of the day, and that'll be right.
Number one.
No, it's already fallen out once, so that's number two.
Oh, two.
So when putting this back together, make sure you've got your caliper in line and in the slot there, and it lined up with the spacer, and then you need to lift the lot up together whilst you put the wheel spindle back through. But also don't do it like this because your chain isn't on your actual sprocket. Take it all back out again and then make sure that your chain is actually over your sprocket. I'm keeping my eye on that spacer, ready for it to fall out again. Right, so now you've got the chain on the sprocket, then we'll have to get the caliper and bracket back through there. So try that again. Make sure that the caliper bracket is in the slot on the swing arm, and then the spindle and caliper are lined up. Your pads are on your disc. Your chain is now on the sprocket, and then we shall put the spindle back through. To you.
That's it. Oh yeah.
There we go. Once we have the nut on here, and that not tight but just enough to be able to keep it in place, and we'll push it all the way forward and then use the chain adjusters equally on both sides to get the chain to the right tension. Just a note, when you're doing your chain tensioning, there was a sticker on the swing arm that said do it to 15 to 25 millimeters slack, which is nowhere near enough for a bike with this much travel. So you want to be looking more towards the 30 to 40 millimeter travel, and that will prevent wear on the sprockets, the chain, and take the pressure off the output shaft. So first of all, you need to take up that slack for a start, just till it starts nipping, and then we'll need to use the chain adjusters. So to start with, get the wheel somewhere in the middle, just check along the length of the chain and roughly where it is on the spindle, and then we shall measure it properly, bearing in mind that they're not that accurate, those lines on the side of the swing arm, so you want to measure it best you can with what you've got. Once you've got the adjustment somewhere near, we will take this center lift off and then get the bike on its actual weight, and then measure up the chain tension properly before nipping up the lock nut there, and finally torquing up the rear spindle. So that's everything greased up now, the wheel back in, and we are just back on the side stand to do the final chain adjustment before we tighten the rear wheel back up. So then, just using a ruler, you can measure your 30 to 40 mil that we're trying to get. Once you've set the chain adjustment and the slack to the correct tension, you then lock these off at the back to make sure that that's it set before finally tightening the spindle nut on the other side. Right, that's the back wheel back in now and everything tightened up. So on this back end we have done the rear spindle, greased that, and all the suspension linkages at the bottom and the main swing arm pivot. So if that's been of any use to you, please give us a like and subscribe. If you've done this job yourself, please let us know in the comments below how you found the bushes and spindle when you removed them. And that's it for now. Cheers, bye bye.